both the Spurs and the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Knicks, they won 2 of 3 against the Spurs. That does include the regular season. And also remember, we saw these two teams in the in-season tournament title game. They won that one by over 11 points. They did, though, like many teams around the league, they lost both games to OKC, and they scored just 100 points per game, the second fewest against any opponent. But who is going to be healthy for OKC if they do make it past the Knicks? Well, that is a question for our Shams Charania. So, Shams, we know that A.J. Mitchell has already been ruled out for this all-important Game 5 tonight. What do we know about Jalen Williams here?
Malika, the Oklahoma City Thunder are continuing to evaluate Jalen Williams on a day-by-day basis. But the reality of the situation is the Thunder have now listed Jalen Williams as questionable with not just hamstring soreness, but a hamstring strain. That's the second strain to the same hamstring in just under a 1-month span. And so these injuries are typically measured in weeks and not really just days, particularly on a re-aggravation. So this is a sensitive, tricky, reoccurring hamstring issue that Jalen Williams has been dealing with. He did do some more movement, warm-ups before Game 4, and I am told he's progressing, doing a little bit more basketball activity, but we'll see how that factors in tonight and tomorrow.
Yeah, Shams, I did think it was interesting that the team changed the designation from hamstring soreness to hamstring strain. It's something that a lot of us wondered, maybe even suspected, but the team actually saying that I do think is interesting. Thank you very much for that insight, Shams. We'll be checking back in with you as we learn maybe a little bit more here. But Brian, knowing that J-Dub is questionable for this game, they already struggled without A.J. Mitchell and not being able to take some of that ball handling relief away from Shea. How do you expect that to affect game?
Look, I can answer this question two ways. Okay, I can break down how maybe they could have Cason Wallace be a little bit more involved. Cason Wallace has had games in the regular season where he's had more than 10 assists. I could break down where they could maybe put the ball in Alex Caruso's hands a little bit to take away some of the pressure from Shea. But let's be honest. This is Game 5 of a 2-2 playoff series. Yep. Shea is an MVP, Finals MVP, 2-time MVP. They need Shea Gilgeous-Alexander to be absolutely great tonight. And it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a matter of him just forcing it and putting up shots, because you know that the Spurs have really been working on double-teaming him and trying to force the ball at his hands. But bottom line, if you want to win multiple championships and you're going to be a great player, you're going to be a first-ballot Hall of Famer, this is the type of time where you deliver a big-time game. It's got to be Shea tonight.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's also their defense. They got to take care of the ball. Shea has to take care of the ball, limit the turnovers. That's what lost them the game. But if they can get easier offense with their defense, deflections, turn San Antonio over, that's how they won those other games. San Antonio is averaging 21, 22 turnovers a game. If they can get back to that and get in some transition baskets where Jared McCain gets some threes, Jalen Williams gets some threes, Cason Wallace, Alex Caruso, it'll help their offense, because without those two other guys giving them some creativity or like creating shots for them, it's going to be very difficult for SGA just to carry that weight by himself offensively.
I think that in order to win a championship, you got to be lucky, you have to have a good matchup, you got to be talented, and you got to be healthy.
Yeah.
You got to have all four of those things. And as great as Shea is, and I know he has a cape somewhere in him, this might just be way too much to overcome. And the way San Antonio is defending him, just with Castle or Fox and Wemby waiting in the back and challenging other guys to do something that are left with two less people on their bench. As great as he is, he's going to have to be like Magic without Kareem in that finals in Boston a long time ago, like that magnificent to get the Spurs, you know,
by himself.
That's a lot.
I don't put it past him at home with what Shea is able to do. I don't put that type of heroic performance past him. But it is either going to take 2 more heroic Shea Gilgeous-Alexander performances or 2 more heroic Victor Wembanyama performances for one of these two teams to get over the hump. And that's going to certainly be
first to 4, not first to 2.
Now we're going to see what we're made of.
I think we're going to have one of those masterful gems from the big fella.
Think he's going to go from midcourt. Got it!
Nothing but the bottom.
The Spurs are alive tonight.
They just punched us in our face early.
Just hasn't been their night.
Resounding response from San Antonio in Game 4.
Listen, with the series tied at 2 games apiece, Game 5 really becomes the most important game in the postseason thus far. In NBA history, teams that win Game 5 in a best-of-7 series when it is tied at 2 games apiece go on to win the series 82% of the time. So let's talk about it with our NBA reporter, Tim McMahon, howdy. He's in OKC, and our three-time NBA champ, Danny Green. And Tim, let's start with those Thunder. Their offense, game 4, awful. I mean, they scored just 82 points, in large part, no Jalen Williams and the A.J. Mitchell's injuries. What more can you tell us about their availability tonight?
Howdy, partners. A.J. Mitchell out again. He has not been ruled out for the series, but the typical recovery time from a calf strain tells you that his return for the West Finals is pretty unlikely at best. Now, Jalen Williams is questionable once again, just like he was the previous 2 games. He missed both those games, was officially ruled out 45 minutes before tip-off after going through what were pretty light pregame warm-ups, basically spot shooting sessions. Now, there was a change in his injury designation. They had been listing him with left hamstring soreness. That is now left hamstring injury management with a strain. And basically, it's an acknowledgement of what was obvious. He aggravated the strain that he suffered in the second game this postseason.
Okay, so Danny, how can OKC generate more offense if 2 of their best off-dribble creators are sidelined?
They got to do what they've been doing and what they've been done for the last couple of years. That's create offense with their defense. They got to be active. They got to get deflections. They got to get into people, be intense and be physical, and not turn the ball over would help. So get more shots on goal. But they got to create offense with their defense. Get easy baskets. Get out in transition. Get out and running. Get some open looks for the young guys with Caruso and Cason Wallace and Jared McCain, even Jalen Williams, big Jalen Williams, to knock down threes. It's easier to get uncontested looks when you're in transition. And also, you don't have a set defense of the Spurs and Wemby at the rim when you get transition. So they got to continue to do what they've always done, and in their DNA is be physical and create offense with their defense. So if they do that, they give themselves a chance. And if they take care of the ball, even better chance of them to win at home.
Okay, we'll see if Chet can step up as well. Tim, thank you very much. Danny, stay right there. More from you in just a moment.
Right, because if the Spurs can win Game 5, they're in a great spot for a finals appearance. They have a 13-2 series record when winning Game 5 of a best-of-7 series that's tied 2-2. Their last series lost in this spot was over a decade ago against the Clippers. Joining the party now is our NBA reporter, Michael C. Wright, who is covering the Spurs. All right, Michael, San Antonio had a complete 180-degree turnaround after Game 4. After Greg Popovich had some choice words for the Spurs after Game 3, how did Pop help set the tone for the series moving forward?
Well, let me tell you this about Pop. Back when Pop had the stroke last year and he came back and rejoined the team and addressed them for the first time, Keldon Johnson was telling me the story about how when he walks into a room, you shut the F up. Okay, also, CEO R.C. Buford, he told me that Pop is at his best during the darkest days. Well, after Game 3, those were dark days. They had basically been punked by the Oklahoma City Thunder. And basically, Pop came into the locker room for the first time all season. All the players were there, the staff, the GM, Brian Wright, everybody was there. And he basically told them, hey, this is BS. We're not playing San Antonio Spurs basketball. So that whole speech was about recalibrating the mindset going into this whole thing. Because, look, the Spurs had just come off a 60-win regular season, and Pop was like, is this how you guys want to go out? Well, obviously, that's not the case. They do not want to go out that way. They want to come out on top. So just a mindset change, and it was beneficial for the San Antonio Spurs in Game 4.
Yeah, absolutely. You can read more of Michael's reporting on Pop's impact and his newest article on De'Aaron Fox becoming the Spurs closer now on ESPN.com. Danny, back over to you. Tonight presents another test for this young Spurs team to capitalize on the reigning champs' injury situation and go up 3-2 in this series. What is San Antonio's most important key to get the job done?
Well, they got to come out with the same intensity they did in Games 3 and 4, but they have to sustain it. And it starts with Victor Wembanyama. Like, he has to be the most valuable player on the floor at all times and with his activity. He's got to block shots. He's got to get rebounds. He's got to get his own rebounds and putbacks. His energy and activity pours into his teammates, and it makes them ultra competitive to be able to be encouraged to make shots and also defensive plays. So their defense has to be intact. And then when they get up big, they have to stay up big because they've been comfortable leads and they let OKC get back into it. But they have to be on a string. They have to communicate. And Wemby's activity has to be great from start to finish. And when we see him doing that, that's a great indicator that the San Antonios are here to play.
Starting with Victor Wembanyama is always a good idea. Spurs have 10 wins this postseason. That's their most since 2014 when they won the title. Michael, thank you so much. Danny as well for sticking around on SportsCenter.